everyone. This is PatriceWilliamsMarks, and I'm back for another live feed. And you can be watching me on 4 different platforms. And I also have the ability to read your chat requests or comments. So feel free to leave a comment or a question, and I'll take a look on my computer. I'll step away real quick at the end of this feed. And if there's any questions, I'll reply to them. Today's subject is actually on something that happened yesterday on TV. Jimmy Kimmel brought back the Jeffersons and All in the Family for a one-night event. And he had actors that we know today like Jamie Foxx and Wanda Sykes and Woody Harrelson and Will Ferrell and a few others, had them play the iconic roles from the 2 different shows, and they played them the way the actors previously played them, and they did the entire script exactly as it was when it was written in the 1970s. And I've been reading some comments online, and it reminded me a lot about what I do as a sensitivity reader, and I wanted to share it with you. The episodes actually, what's kind of funny is that they were kind of pushing the envelope in the 70s, sometimes even more than they are right now, if you can believe it. There was actually some comments where George Jefferson used the honky word, and you could hear it. But then when I believe it was, the neighbor, I believe it's the neighbor from their upstairs. I forgot what her name is. Helen. She or her husband said the N-word, or actually I think it might have been George directed at them, and they said, don't say it, and then he said it, but then it was bleeped out. And so there were quite a few people, not quite a few, but there was a couple of people that said, hey, why didn't they bleep out honky, but they bleeped out the N-word? Well, I'm not really here to explain that, but just as I see it, the reason why they didn't is because honky really isn't, it doesn't carry as much of a punch racially as the N-word does. It's not used a lot. It's not used to really degrade. It's usually just to, what it's meant is, you're a white person and I'm not type of thing. I still wouldn't use it because there may be a few people who were, can be offended by it, but I believe that's why they didn't bleep it. And also, the episode was exactly like it was from the 70s, and that's what they did in the 70s. They did not bleep it. But I have to say that I enjoyed both episodes. They weren't, I was hoping it would be a little bit different. I was hoping that the characters, the actors who were playing these iconic characters, that they would put some of themselves into it, but they were actually just mimicking the prior actors. And so it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. I stayed and watched for both, but it wasn't fantastic. But it was still worth the watch. But what's really interesting afterwards is there was a special about a half hour, and the actress who plays Florence for the Jeffersons, her name's Marla Gibbs. She actually played the same character last night. A little bit older. She's in her 80s right now. And it was really interesting. She said that when they did their first table read, which is when the actors all sit around a table and they read their parts from the script, just sitting there, not acting it out. She said when they first did that in the 70s, she was so excited to be there, and then after they finished the read, the rest of the actors left, and the production team and the writing staff stayed. And she said, I was so green, I didn't know that I was supposed to leave. She said, so I decided to stay. And they started going back and forth on the dialogue for the characters. And she actually had the guts to stand up and say and assert herself and say, "Excuse me, that's not the way black people talk. This is how they would say it." So she was actually a sensitivity reader in the 1970s. She stood up for herself. She wanted to make sure that there wasn't a misrepresentation or something that the white writers thought the way black people acted and spoke. And so because of asserting herself, their scripts got better and they became an iconic show, and it wasn't something that offended the very audience that they were going after. So I think that's pretty amazing that Marla Gibbs did that, and more people should do that. So that's what I wanted to share with you during this live event, that I just thought it was really exciting to hear her experience and how she was looking out for herself, and she didn't want herself and her people to be misrepresented in a negative fashion. And they listened, so that's really good. I'm happy that Norman Lear and the writers listened, because she had mentioned that the whole staff was white men for this black show. So they needed help, and she gave it to them, and they accepted it. So that's wonderful. So that's all I wanted to say. Let me look real quick to see if anybody has posted any questions. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, I just saw one question. The question was, why would I call Marla Gibbs' response sensitivity reading? Well, it wasn't really sensitivity reading. You can call it whatever you want. Sometimes we're called targeted expert readers, so if you use that term, or targeted beta readers. So if you substitute those names instead of sensitivity readers, then you'll understand better how Marla was able to pick out things that were incorrect and misrepresentative of the black community, and they responded and changed. And so that's why I considered her a sensitivity reader, but you may want to call her a targeted expert reader at this point. So that's the only question I have. I hope to see you guys again, and the next video is going to be the first Thursday of June, and I don't know what that date is, but we'll all figure it out. And be sure to register on my website so you'll get an email about a half hour before each one of these feeds, so you'll know that it's coming. And you can even reply to that email with a question, and I'll address it on the next feed. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and have a good rest of your day.